I'm just going to start. So, Jamie, welcome to Grab Your Keys.
Great. Well, thanks for having me, and I'm glad it finally worked out.
It did work out. We're super.
You had to offer me lunch to get me here.
I did. So, Jamie, how did you become and decide to be a realtor, and how long have you been a realtor?
So I've been a realtor for over almost, 19 years.
Okay.
For some people, it seems forever. For me, it seems even longer, but not that long to other people. I actually was looking for a house for myself and realized that my kids were about to go into kindergarten, and I kind of needed a change. I was actually had my own company and realized it was things were changing in just life and world, and said, I'm getting my real estate license. And just like that, I doubled up on my classes and became a realtor.
Wow.
So here I am.
To give a good indication of what Jamie and her team have done over the last 12 months is Jamie herself has done over 32 million, and with her team, it's over 50 million. So what made you decide that, you wanted to have a team and bring up a team at the same time?
So interesting question. I started on a team myself back at Keller Williams many, many years ago, and never really had the expectations to have my own team. But then as time continued to go on, and I switched over to Long and Foster, and I had girls that worked with me and guys that I was managing and helping, and I really do love mentoring.
Right.
And thought, you know what? When Compass approached me, I realized this is my opportunity to sort of change course a little bit and bring on a team of whoever, women or men, to help mentor them and build and become the Jamie Adler team. So it was kind of a big step, but yet was kind of already doing it without having a team name to it.
Right.
And Compass kind of helped me take that leap.
So why Compass? Besides that they gave you that chance, why did you feel that you wanted to go to Compass?
So one of the unique things about Compass, that after being at some other real estate companies, which every company, as we all know, wherever everybody is amazing and offers whatever. For me, Compass offered the marketing technology side that I didn't get anywhere else. So we'd go into these meetings, and they tried recruiting me for a few years. So I would have been one of the very first people at Compass. Missed out on that gravy train, unfortunately. Right. But with that said, when I finally decided to take the move, it wasn't anything against where I was at the moment, but it was, okay, I'm going to have a full platform of a CRM, marketing. If I ever need to market a house, it's a click of a button. It's great for people who are younger too, who have great technology-driven skills, like Alicia, who's on my team here. It's an amazing access to, the principals, the managers, everybody's very accessible. And the components that they offer us when we go on a listing presentation, what they offer us is incredible. What they offer us on I get a listing and I want to market it, the tools that I get to have that I never had before, kind of had to dig in. It's all in one spot. There's a transaction coordinator person that I have. There's a marketing person that I have. All these people who all come together to help us build. It's literally a business built for agents to help us help our consumers.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's really what made me really take the jump to do it. And then I got to create my own team, my brand and logo and all these things I never had before. So it's it's been a really interesting career path change.
Right. What do you feel your 3 keys to success have been over the last 19 years?
So I think communication always has been something huge for me.
Right.
I find that I treat every single one of my clients the way I personally want to be treated. So I make myself, whether it's good or bad, available 24/7. I think that the understanding a buyer and seller and separating the two, because they are two very separate entities when you're dealing with it. So if I walk in, I'm with a seller, I'm looking at the house from a seller's perspective, but then you have to jump into the shoes of a buyer. So I think being able to sort of multitask and jump back and forth to both roles really helps. And I think being organized in some fashion.
Okay.
I think is very important.
Or having people to be organized for you.
Correct. Yes, exactly. Okay. I finally have that team of people on board. I didn't have that originally. So I used to keep everything in my head, and I never understood how I did it. I never had administrative help for literally 17 years of doing my business. And that was a part of the reasons of going to Compass. I now have some people to help me, and keep it a little bit more organized for me. Always try to be a very hard worker and not give up. You know, I sleep, eat, and breathe real estate 24/7.
Right. You actually have been on a beach, at a
Yes.
pool,
Correct.
and at other places throughout the world.
Right. You know that.
You are literally like, Sue,
Yes.
call so-and-so. And I'm like, okay.
Yes.
And I'll say, do you want to have a call about this? And you're like, I'm in Mexico.
Yes. I will always take a call. I will always work. There's no vacation. People always say, well, you're on vacation. I say, I am, but I can still work. And looking at a beach and working is never too bad. Trust me. Yeah. I will say probably every vacation I've gone on, I probably have sold a house. Right. But that's okay. It's fun.
Because when you go away, you actually have more business.
Business, always. That's when people seek you out.
So in your marketing, do you feel that there's a specific avatar that you're going after? Like, how do you segment if you want buyers, if you want sellers? How do you know in the marketplace that we're in today what you're going after?
So I don't.
You don't. You just
are a
take marketer,
business.
A networker. You just
correct
are just always out there, and whatever your friends, family, network needs help
whatever
with,
it is. Exactly. I don't do a lot of cold calling or prospecting as some other companies do, and it works really well for them. I always say to people, whoever you talk to, you have to make sure you mention you're in real estate, because you never know, and especially today more than ever before, where people sometimes just thought to move. Right. But today, as you know, as a lender, people aren't thinking to just move. But you could be talking to somebody, we could be having coffee, and I could be saying to you, well, I've been really busy with real estate. I'm not asking you for your business, but next thing is, I was actually thinking of maybe selling my house. Do you want to come over and see it? Sure. Or my sister, my aunt, my uncle. And I always tell the girls on my team to it's not about calling somebody up and cold calling and saying, hey, do you want to sell your house? It's calling people and being like, do you want to meet for lunch, for coffee, or how's it going? How are your kids? Yeah, I've been so busy. Real estate's been crazy, even though people say it's not. You sell real estate? I didn't know that. Guess what? So I've always worked my business on completely I talk too much. Right.
So with regards to social media, you've really worked on your social media in the last 18 months, I'd say.
It's a new adventure for me.
Right. Yes. And so how do you feel your social media marketing efforts have driven business towards you?
So I have noticed, I was watching you from a few years ago, and your stuff's been stellar.
Well, thank you.
There's a couple other agents in the area who have really stepped it up. And I was kind of wrestling with where do I want to go with my social media. I think that, as we all know, with social media, you can see houses and people can look at them. But I connected through a very close realtor friend of mine who actually sold my house and did an amazing social media piece on it. He said, hey, who did that? I really liked the collaboration that they did. And here I am now, almost 6 months later, working with an amazing company who's really taken it above and beyond, as you all saw when I stepped in here, not just showing houses. Who am I as a person? How do I relate to the areas, the people? Community. Yes, correct. And collabing with areas and people that it makes people see me on social media. Right. And someone said to me the other day, are you getting a lot of business from it? I mean, has somebody calling me and saying I saw you on social media, I want to hire you? No, but a tremendous amount of people are definitely saying, your social media is amazing. They're they're seeing me, they're being more aware. And I always feel wherever people spend their marketing dollars and money that they want to spend, you could do postcard mailers, which are really helpful. You could be on magazines, you could be here, there, and awareness. But social media, I feel, just brings it all together if people are on social media. So I do think ultimately, if you're not necessarily attending events and doing things, it gets you out there. I don't know if any of you have seen me or how often you see me.
It's been amazing.
Right. Somebody says you're on my social media reel every single day now. I can't miss you. I'm like, it's working.
It works because you can show the houses. You're doing a great job of showing off the community. So if people are Googling the community, you're the one that's popping up. So that's super important in the SEO. So what common mistakes do you feel realtors make?
So
I know it's a lot.
That's a very heavily loaded question. What mistakes? Well, I think one of the biggest issues I always find is they make consumers victims. Right. They don't communicate the right way. They aren't doing the process the right way. They're misguiding them. And unfortunately, consumers don't know. Right. So I always feel so bad when I get that call or or I hear about somebody's bad experience. So I think without really researching or knowing what realtor you're using is probably one of the biggest negatives. you know, maybe working with somebody and not knowing like what can they buy, what they can't buy, making sure they're talking to like an appropriate lender, a lender who can't get them to the table for whatever reason.
Right.
That's an issue. And also, nobody wants to be harassed. We all know that. So I think it's knowing how to manage and network without harassing, I think, the consumers that are out there.
Right. What is in the future for Jamie Adler?
I'm going to be on a beach laying somewhere, not working? No. Just kidding. I do love the beach. I would just love to help foster and continue to grow my team.
Yeah.
And continually like knock it out of the ballpark, maybe expand to other areas potentially, you know, whether I retire to Florida, and I won't ever retire. I'll probably be doing this till they bury me. But more importantly, I think just helping other people be aware of real estate and how to do it the right way, and hopefully become, you know, everybody wants to be successful. It's why we all do what we do and make money.
Right.
That'd be my biggest
So
goal.
talking about the things that you love, you have obviously have a passion for real estate. And I think that all of us need to have a passion for real estate.
Yes, to do it.
When you're doing what you love to do. When you're driving around, you're looking at the houses, you're looking at what's for sale. Like I'm always looking at which houses are for sale. How many sale signs did I see? How many sold signs do I see? How fast are the signs coming out of the yard? So I think that always knowing your area is super important, and knowing the people in it is also super important. Having the community, also having children, having a family. You're a mom of twins.
Yes, well, I'm really 5 kids technically, but yes,
5 kids.
Right.
So blended family.
Yep.
So definitely lots of entertainment and energy and all of that. How do you maintain that balance of being a mom, a stepmom, a wife, a top realtor, like all of those things, that a friend, a sister,
I know,
you know,
right?
a wife, all
Totally.
like you could literally have 15 titles. How do you maintain and have harmony with all of those?
Right. I don't sleep at night. No.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those people where my friends do make fun of me because literally I will go from the beginning early in the morning, and I don't usually stop till about 1:30. And I'm also one of those people, I work all the time. So even if I'm in the car with a kid or anyone who has little kids, I'm always on the phone. I make time for everybody. I always try to return every text message back because I know it's important. I mean, nobody wants to like reach out to somebody and not hear back.
Correct.
And I think it's just a matter of, I don't think about it.
Right.
I just keep doing it. And
you just maintain. You're in the moment for whoever you're in the moment for.
Correct. And I make every client feel, which I think is a very important tool for anybody to learn, that they're my one and only client. They're my one and only agent. And it doesn't matter how many other things I have to do in a day or however many people are needing me. You're the person I'm talking to. You're the person that I am most worried about at the moment to engage with.
Right. I know a couple weeks ago, like we don't see each other all the time. We talk on the phone, we text, we work with clients. But I was driving up this road. I wasn't coming to Bridget's. I was going somewhere else. And I like rolled down my window and we were like, hey, and we wanted to talk, but we couldn't have time. I was meeting my daughter. You were meeting a group of friends. I actually came in and Jamie was already sitting down.
Right.
So I was like, okay, we're not going to go there. And but it was great just to have that interaction, and it's that interaction with everyone that you meet, I think, is super important, and to just always have all those different communities.
Exactly. And I also find that like whoever you meet, whether it's a realtor or whoever person doing whatever, is so important to, kill them with kindness. Even if you don't like them, or you don't think they're a good realtor or a good lender, you still have to kill them with kindness, because you'll probably, from your business, like it's keeping that, you want people to walk away and be like, that SueMeitner's amazing, that Jamie Adler's amazing. And you want to be like your phone's always open and available. And I feel like I could call you or text you anytime and know that you would never be like, why are you bothering me at 9:30 at night?
Right, I wouldn't. I would be like, whatever.
I'm on it.
I'm actually
and you
like,
do.
oh, Jamie's calling me.
And you answer. And any client I just send to you where I don't have time to say to you, like, hey, Sue, they're calling. They call me. She was amazing. She was on it. And even if we've lost a few people where all of a sudden they say, oh, they're not, they bought themselves. They did this, they did that. And we handle it with grace, always. And that to me is the professionalism goes so far.
Well, because that paves the way for the next deal and the next deal and the next deal. And it's really about the relationship. And you always have to do what's best for the client. if you truly do what's best for the client, then it will pave its way forward
for future. Always, and there's been so many times where like I love the appreciation from any client or person, like, wow, thank you, or you did so great, like, love this experience I had with you, because it makes us feel like our work is paying off.
Right. Our work does pay off. And, you have, I feel that where I am in my career, and I think you probably feel in your career, that you want to work with people who you know, like, and trust, and who you really enjoy doing business with, because it's not worth spending time with people who you don't enjoy. So if I don't enjoy when I see your name on my phone, I probably will refer you to somebody else.
Right. Pass you off.
And I think that that's like, it's super important, because you do want the client to know that you're a team to build that business and to build that business and pave that forward. So I think that's very important. What would you share that you think is the most effective way to succeed in the real estate business? Besides communication, organization, hard work, working at a place that you love, doing social media, is there any nugget that you think really resonates with you?
So I think I would probably have to answer by saying the more people you network with and be able to engage with is ultimately going to help develop your business the most. Right. Because you want to be able to get people to want to think of you top of mind. And that's part of the social media component. Right. The more top of mind you are, and the more people know you're in real estate. In fact, a quick side story. Years ago, when I first got my license, I'll never forget, I was sitting at a restaurant having lunch, and I saw an old, like a random friend of mine. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't mentioned to her 3 months before, when I saw her, about I just got my real estate license. And I see her at this restaurant, and she said, I'm like, hey, how are things? She's like, oh, I'm so excited. I just bought a house. And I'm like, you did? And she said, oh, yeah. I go, who'd you use as a realtor? And she said, oh, I just called the sign. This is back when signs were a thing. And I thought, oh my gosh. And from that day forward, and this is literally, I had my license literally maybe like a month or two.
Right.
I will, no matter who I see or I talk to, it's so important to let them know somehow, not just I'm selling real estate, right. Just letting them know some way that you're selling real estate, because you never know who is thinking and wanting to do that. And, it's hard to set systems up. I finally do have systems. I never did literally for 17 years. But having that way of being able to keep engaging and talking, I find, is really the best way to continue to build your business and be successful.
Yeah, that's amazing. I agree with you. And I've seen the trajectory of Jamie Adler from the beginning. And I'm so lucky to know you for the last 19 years. Completely. Because we just have neighbors and friends that all live in the same neighborhood. Yes,
that day you called me up.
Yeah.
And right back at you as a lender, for anybody who's working with like a lender as great as Sue, which I will say, obviously we all have lenders call us all the time. We all have lenders. I mean, I'm just throwing this back at you really quickly, because it's a huge coup to you. And we all have lenders who are great. I mean, look, just like all great realtors out there. But one thing that you do, Sue gives back. And that, to me, like, who wants to go have coffee or lunch with a lender, like, just going to tell us how great they are. Where Sue, you give back to us. Like, you make it, like, you come top of mind to me as a lender. You're the first person I give your name now, because you are the lender who, like, makes us think of you with the amazing marketing that you do. So, like, huge kudos to you. So
thank you. And I think that it's over time. Like, that's the other thing. Like, you can't expect people to give you your business. I mean, I don't think you used me for 10 years.
Right, I did.
And that was okay. That's totally okay.
And now you're the name I give out.
It wasn't the right time for either one of us. Right. Whereas, we had to cultivate the relationship in the business so that you were like, oh no, Sue matches with my clients and she's the best person.
And
that's
you take care of them.
And you take care of them. So I think that the community also does the same thing of how often are you top of mind and how are you making that top of mind?
It's a huge way to become, I think, more successful, no doubt, and keep business flowing your way.
Yeah, so thanks for the kudos of that. Yeah. At least we know everything we're doing is working over the last
it works. Look at us.
2 years.
It's a love affair.
For sure. So I'm going to open it up to anyone. Does anyone have any questions for Jamie with regards to business, how she's getting the business, what she's doing, anything that we didn't touch on that you have a question on? You had to come with at least one question.
Where does your business come from?
So the question was, where does your business come from?
So majority of my business is referrals. People referring me. I think having listings generates a lot of business. I know it's hard to get the listings, like we all know, especially today when there's so little inventory. But I've definitely have been listing heavy over the last so many years, and I think that generates business. You get somebody who doesn't have the realtor and they do call you, but it's really, oh, so-and-so told me to call you. And I find that as I'm getting more and more out there through Compass has really helped me establish a stronger presence, I think, in like areas. It's been helping me get my postcards, and they hold them, and then they call me and they say, hey, you know, I'm looking to sell my house. I got this postcard. Has been very successful as well.
How do you educate yourself? Like, are you listening to podcasts? Do you read anything?
No, I don't do anything.
Yeah, you don't do anything. But anything that Compass gives you actually, because Compass is very big on
training, knowledge, helping guide us, and
coaching.
I also think for realtors, I mean, I think being in the know, and I mean, I look at the hot sheet on like MLS 300 times a day. I follow like the other various like third-party sites that will literally like a listing comes on, and if I know I have a buyer and I see a listing, I want to be the first. I want to tell my buyer about that listing. I don't want that buyer to like find out a day later that, oh, I see a house come up in my neighborhood. Oops, it's sold already. So obviously we have these little computers, our phones that we walk around with all day long. So I think that's another huge important role of getting business is you want to be, say that buyer sees a house. And of course today with the new getting contracts signed with them initially, but up until that point, like I want to be that go-to resource. I want them to hear it from me. I want them to look at it with me and want to make sure they don't have time to call somebody else. So I think it's a matter of being quick on your toes, being out there and aware, and doing mailers is the way to get the best business.
And you're doing all marketing, including mailers.
Yes, absolutely.
So you're even old school. So you're
old
doing
school mailers,
school
I think, are a great way to hit people up. Yep.
Do you do open houses?
So
they're selling so fast.
I know they do sell so fast. I have these wonderful girls who work with me, and they love the open houses. So I do kind of tend to push it towards
that's what I'm saying. So you do open houses in your listings, and your team sits those open houses, which I think is great to give to your team, because the people who come through the open houses are the ones that are the buyers for you. Which
if I get leads as well, I will sometimes I'd like to pass it off to the girls on the team as well, but I think getting business, it's a sales-driven business. So, you've been also around a long time also, and you know how good I am. It's crazy out there. So it's just, and especially today more than ever before, and I always share it with, Kate and Alicia can validate it. Like, it's a weird market the last 2-3 years. It's not the old days where like there was just such an abundant amount of business, and it used to be like, oh, it didn't matter if there were 500 agents. Like there was enough business to go around, and now it's a little slower.
Well, I think that some agents are getting out of the business, which leaves more marketplace for the agents who are doing business. Go ahead. You have a question.
Yeah. So I guess this one's for both of you. It's such a crazy market where houses are going so quickly. What do you two recommend mortgage-wise and real estate-wise to do to get your buyer to be the winning offer in the bidding war?
So the question is, what do both of us do to get our buyer to get the offer of the winning, to be the winning one? We've done it.
We do it.
We do. We look at the entire, I look at the entire picture with the realtor, and if I can make the deal be a cash offer without it being a cash offer, that's the way we go at first. We put a mortgage on it. We see if they have 401k. We see if they can get a mom or dad to be on it for at least the initial offer, and then take them off to show the cash, the capital to buy that cash if they didn't get a mortgage. Here's the thing. Most mortgage people, or at least I approve all the people. They're run through the automated system. I get their pay stubs. I get their W-2s or tax returns. I get their pay stubs. They're completely approved. If your lender's not doing that, you're using the wrong lender. Point blank. They're approved. They don't even need a mortgage contingency unless they think they might lose their job in the next 30 to 60 days. Right. That's the only thing a mortgage contingency is the get out of jail for free card. That's it. Sure. So there's no point of, if you have an approval, to even put that mortgage contingency on there. And because if you're going with a good lender, you're not just using another big box lender who's just giving you a piece of paper. So you have to make sure that you're protecting and you're covering yourself when you do it. But that's what we talk to, and we make the buyer feel comfortable and confident. So if you have a lender who's comfortable and confident, and you have a realtor who's comfortable and confident, and you're a team together, you need to then do strategies with the listing agent to make them feel that you're comfortable and confident, and make sure that they know you're the best in the business. Your lender's the best in the business. Your lender has to do strategies, send a video, call them, and make sure that you're top of mind. And then I can say things that Jamie can't say, or that a realtor can't say. So what I do is I send a video and I say, look, if it's important to your seller to have a great family in your house, and then it's important to the neighbors too, this is the buyer that you need to choose. And that goes a long way, because, you know, we win a lot of offers that way. I say that we're about 80% in winning offers. Do we lose offers? Yeah, as I sit around this table, I can say that I've lost deals with almost every one of you.
Sometimes it's hard though, because if the buyer's not going to offer, I mean, I always say, I think the most important thing, like Sue was saying, collaborate with your lender big time if it's going to be a mortgage, or trying to avoid that. But, you know, I schmooze the listing agent. Whether I know them or not, it's hard. Sometimes if you don't know them, it's a little harder. But I always say to my client too, like, if you want this house, I can get you this house, because I will do what I can to find out what it's going to take to get the house in terms of other offers on the table. But, you know, I always say to my buyer, if you don't want to go to this much or do this escalation clause of that amount, you know, unfortunately, I will always know if I'm going to get a buyer a house. If they want it, we will get it. I will say.
It's better if they want it.
If they want it.
And if they're willing to understand what you need to do in this market. Do I think the market's changing? I don't know. I think the market's changing in the United States a lot, and I think it will come here eventually. But right now, this bubble that we're in this Philadelphia region is staying pretty steady.
Yes. Yes.
And what I love is that the interest rates are staying a little steady. We're okay with them being in the sevens. Like now, if a buyer is calling you, you don't need to talk about interest rate to them, because they already know the interest rate.
Well, people say to me all the time too, like, oh, you know, people don't want to buy because of the interest rates. And I actually don't think that's not the reason. It's the inventory.
Right.
There's no inventory. I mean, and then I watched like some markets like around here, like getting a ton of houses. But again, if the buyer doesn't want it, then you can't sell it to them, and then there's nothing to show them.
Go ahead, Dana.
So this question is actually for both of you, because it's social media related. What type of content are you seeing getting the most eyeballs, the most likes, the most views, the most interaction? Is it the picture of houses? Is it kind of the silly personal stuff? Is it
So the question is, what are we finding has traction on social media? Go ahead.
Well, interestingly enough, I happened to do a social media clip of Toy Shirt Chocolates. If anybody rings a bell with hearing that name.
I watched it.
And the funny thing about it is it's a candy store in Wayne, and if anybody heard about the Kelsey fiasco down the shore, happened a few weeks ago. So at first it didn't really get that many hits. But now I'm up to like 9,000 views. It's been the best social media ever, because everybody's Googling, because they took themselves off social media, and now everybody's Googling it and commenting on my social media. But as a side gig, it was great. I'm like, literally, I'm like viral. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
I took it off Facebook, but I left it on Instagram. But I do think that collaborating and showing yourself part of a town, an area, a neighborhood, because everybody loves houses, but everybody sees houses. So I think that it's funny, I looked back, so it was about a year ago that I actually started, it was like March when I actually started doing videos. I hate myself on video. Like I literally hate myself on video.
You've said that.
I hate it. And I found it on my phone. I was looking through old videos. I was like, oh my God, that was my first video. And it said, I actually should post it. It said, come with me on this journey as I begin to explore. But I find now that it's the reels that people are looking at. You know, everyone can post on Instagram and I'll get like 10 likes or whatever. And people want, and I think it's connecting with something that helps Sue, who's your stuff's also too amazing, like songs. And it's the full content that makes people want to watch and look. I did a plastic surgery content thing.
That was great. I watched it.
And that like blew up like crazy. Yeah, really. And you know what? And I'm not doing it to like help. Like, I mean, obviously people will come to Bridges. I'm honestly, selfishly, I do it for myself. Like, I want people to see me. Then that's what social media is about.
And
right?
as you tag the other people or tag Bridges or tag each other, then you get all of those people seeing you at the same time. So it's as you tag, but it's also the silly things. We did a TikTok, I wasn't even in it, of the broom challenge, and it's a girls walking, stepping over a broom, and how men can't do it. Weird.
I missed that.
4.8 million
Oh, wow.
views.
Oh, I missed that.
4.8 million views on TikTok. They're
That's awesome.
all people who never have been on my feed or anything. Who's to say if they'll ever buy a house? Who knows?
But they saw you.
But they saw it, and now they're on my TikTok. 4.8 million views.
It's amazing.
It's crazy.
Viral.
It went viral. Too bad I can't make any money off that. No, I can't,
Right.
because I don't have 10,000 likes yet. I have over 100,000 likes, but you need 10,000 followers. So hey, follow me on TikTok. But you know, you have to bring that up. And another funny story is the driving service that I used for my children in Alabama, when they were in Alabama, he couldn't get a mortgage. 2 mortgage companies turned him down. He saw that
wait, you told me that story.
Yeah, he saw that I was a lender in Alabama, called me, we did his mortgage, and he's happy in his house right now, where other people couldn't do it. So it does work, but it's consistency. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to do it every single day, and multiple times a day. So
Right.
I agree. So that's what I find. The weird things are just, you have to do a lot of different things to find traction. I also find that companies who just post their generic post that their company sends,
Just listed, just sold,
does not get very many. It is the reels. It's showing your authenticity.
Show who you are.
And who you are.
And combine it with the just listed, just sold, because then somebody who starts following you starts to see the reels with the just listed, just sold, and then they realize, now you got a house that maybe they didn't ever take notice of you before. But I also find with different platforms, and I don't know if you see this,
Totally.
like I'm finding like TikTok, I'm not getting any like exposure there. Like when a while back was doing some of my own stuff I did, now it's more Instagram heavy for me.
Yeah, so I'm Instagram and Facebook heavy, even though that TikTok blew up.
Right.
But TikTok is for the future.
Yes.
If you look at the demographics, it's for the 18 and 24-year-olds. They're not buying houses yet. It's for when they when they transition into Instagram, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I know Jamie. Oh yeah, I know Sue. Oh yeah, I know Diane. Oh yeah, I know Dana. And they'll go through and know what they, know that you're top of mind.
Also quick, like my son, who's in the social media industry, more or less, like he was the one who told me too, which I think is really important, 15 to 30 seconds. You can't nobody wants to sit and listen. Like I know I don't even like to listen to myself, but like nobody wants to sit and listen to a long 3-minute, let me talk to you today about the real estate world. Like, I mean, unless somebody's like wants to engage, but I think it's got to be quick, snappy,
quick, easy, fast. Quick, easy, fast. Any other questions? No? We've answered everything you need today for your real estate needs. Okay, well, Jamie, thank you so much for being on Grab Your Keys.
Great.
Guys,
thanks for the opportunity.
Go ahead, Joe.
Team?
So the question is, could you tell a little bit about going from a solo agent to managing a team? The reason I'm repeating it is because we have the microphone.
Of course. Yes. So when I was a solo agent, though, I really do love just mentoring, helping, guiding other agents, because I think it's important. And as we all know, there's some agents out there who just didn't get the right guidance. So when I went to Long and Foster, I had sort of a team that I kind of managed a little bit, but it wasn't like the Jamie Adler team. It was just people who worked under me. And when I took the leap to Compass, part of the opportunity was to bring some of the girls with me and to add to it and to build upon it. And it's been, I love it. And hopefully the girls on my team love it. I mean, it's something that, again, I'm always wanting to like add to it and grow upon it. And, it takes management, but I'd almost rather help them foster their business more than, because like now after 18 years, 19 years, I rather them be successful. And, so it's sort of the balance and figuring it out and helping them with the logistics and teaching them like what I learned. Like my mentors to this day, I still turn to and love talking to because they're like, I'm here where I am because of them.
Right.
So I think growing a team just takes, it sort of happens, and you see where I didn't know where it was going to take me, and hey, who knows? Maybe I continue to keep growing it.
So that's great.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'd like to know with your team what your back office support, what your systems look like. How did you design and how to set that all up?
So always still work in progress. Compass is definitely helpful with that, and having administrative people. I had a VA for a hot second. We tried. So it's definitely still trying to figure out what Kate and Alicia can kind of help even validate that, like trying to figure out what is the best way to keep the team organized and trying to have it where all the contacts are together and not in the mailers and keeping things transferred. So it's still being worked upon. Don't necessarily have a set system in place yet.
Who was your mentor?
Well, Joanne Bedwell, Dina Rovner.
So the question was, who was your mentor?
Yeah. I mean, when I went to Keller Williams, I was on the Gary Siegel team. That's where I started. And Gary and Chris were amazing. And then Joanne was there, who was sort of like my go-to person for so many years, who I still talk to all the time. So.
That's so funny. Dina Rovner was when I was,
Yeah.
my hot second that I was a realtor, like right out of college. One hot second, like really one hot second. She was my mentor too.
Yeah,
so
Dina was great.
So funny.
Dina, the one thing I always, whenever I talk to Dina today, I always remember. So one of my first agreement of sales I wrote, and it happened to be on a listing she had. And this is back when she was over at the Bluebell office. She calls me up and she's like, Jamie, she was like, you forgot to check the box about sellers being able to retain, the limited deposit. And to this day, it's the first box I check 19 years later. And I always thank her. I'm like, thank God. And I tell everybody else on my team, you've got to make sure to check that box.
Right.
You remember the little things.
You do remember the little things. So go ahead, Vern.
Hi, Jamie. Thank you. What does your day look like as far as, are you in office all day or are you mostly from home?
No, I'm in my car.
You're in your car?
My car is my home.
Okay.
I'm in my car usually from early in the morning to, until I get home, and just juggling the phone. So I'm always reachable, usually like text and phone call. And, of course, as I, driving, I have to pull over a few times to make sure I'm not missing certain messages. But yeah, I'm not in an office really ever, which sometimes I wish I were, but I'm not. Yep.
And you do a big area. You do a lot in a big area. You do the main
anywhere
line,
there's
you
business.
do Montgomery County. You do Delaware County. It's just absolutely everywhere.
Wherever the phones ring, we go. I mean, really, it's kind of how we try to do it. So
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said my car is my home.
Yeah. Great question.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Well, Jamie, thank you
Great.
so much
Thanks
for
so much. It was
being
great.
on
I
Grab Your
appreciate it.
Keys. Everyone, don't forget, listen, subscribe, and share.
Yep.
Grab Your Keys.
And any real estate questions, feel free to ever text or call me.
Thank you.
Thanks so.